We should be live. Uh, Hello everybody, and welcome to geez, second already. Welcome to our second developer AMA. We got our staff here, and we actually have a plus one, which is always nice to have. First off, we have Sterling, director and COO of Void.
Yo, what's up? Hey guys. I have to introduce myself and talk about what I do, or
Yep.
just leave it. I do? Okay. Well, I'm yeah, that's fine. That's I'm in charge of the day-to-day operations at Void. I founded the company with a couple other guys, Jules, our CEO, and Riro, our CTO, a while ago, and I'm the game director as well, so in charge of a lot of the vision for the game and stuff like that, working very closely with the other guys in this channel and a lot of other guys in the who aren't in this channel. And really, it's all them. It's all the other guys who make this a lot. Make Ready Not what Ready Not is. So I really just kind of sit there and watch everyone do their jobs. So everyone else does all the really, really, really good work. Just a poser. All right, that's it.
All right. Next up, we got Steve, another one of the programmers at Void, and somebody who has been an immense help trying to get all this stuff for community events, answers to you guys, all that kind of stuff sorted out.
Yeah, hey all, Steve or Shadykutz. So I actually am not a game programmer originally. I did corporate development for quite a while, and I know a few of the people who founded Void and have been asked to come on and sort of help grow the company and put some process in and the likes. So I'm the boring, mean one, I guess you could say. So I've been here, 6-8 months now. It's been really fun. When my wife comes in and sees me playing computer games, I tell her I'm working, and she says, Dwarf Fortress is not ready or not. I say I'm researching. So there is one benefit. There's plenty of benefits. It's good. I love it here.
All right, great. Next up, we have somebody who is who should be recognizable to anybody who has looked at the game or attended our first AMA in the public Discord. Mark, the lead environment artist.
Hello, everyone. Good to be back. I really enjoy doing these AMAs and getting to talk with everyone. It's really good to sort of have these kind of brainstorming sessions, and it allows us to event a little bit as well, and have that kind of relationship with you guys. As mentioned, I'm. My sort of day-to-day job is to look after the environments, not only just leading the team, but also one of the core content creators from the environments themselves. I tend to, take a level from blockout stage all the way to final, whilst also managing my team who are working on other levels. I also sort of manage the going-ons with the outsource when it comes to asset creation for the levels specifically. And yeah, overall, just kind of making sure the game looks as good as it can and hopefully running smoothly as well.
All right, excellent. Next, we have Zack, composer, sound director, and author of Fire Tracks for Ready or Not.
He's doing me too much honor right now. What's going on, everyone? First of all, I gotta say thanks to everyone for dropping in. This is crazy seeing over 200 people in here right now. But yeah, I'm sound lead and composer with Void, and believe it or not, this is actually my first major project. I did some small stuff before, mainly with music. So going into the sound side was pretty scary. But again, I work with probably the best team in the world when it comes to just collaboration and getting things done. So I can't be more thankful for that. So day to day for me, basically going in, getting assets, getting the technical sound side done, and just also making sure that the music is implemented and making sure it's all flowing together level to level and moment to moment. And of course, it's also a learning process too, just making sure that I'm listening to feedback and seeing, okay, so what do players like, what do they not like? And then from there, just kind of making sure the sound gets better and better and better, and that's pretty much it.
Excellent. And then we have Mr. Ollie, somebody who is very much known to the NDA members, as he likes to pop in from time to time, and yet again another of Void's very capable team program members.
Hey, I'm Ali. This is my first AMA as well. I'm one of the programmers on the team. I do a lot of things from AI to gameplay and also networking. So for co-op and stuff like that. Yeah.
Short and sweet isn't bad.
I was gonna say, yeah, Ali, like, he's being way too humble right now. He, like, even if the sound team needs any help, Ali is like, he jumps in,
Yeah,
he's
wherever I
offering
can,
suggestions. Yeah, like he's all over the map. He's crazy. So,
Alrighty.
He's a machine, absolute machine.
And then last but very much not least, we actually have a +1 from our original itinerary. We have a Sam, one of the members of the art teams, and probably the producer of some of my favorite art in the form of all the Carcosa stuff.
Hello, I'm Sam. I guess I'm currently in a tornado right now. I'm the lead 2D artist. I do a lot of the concept art. I do it for characters. In some environments, I do some graphic design and some UI. So, yeah, just anything 2D. Pretty much my field.
Alrighty.
Okay.
So let's get the show on the road with starting from the top of the questions channel. Very, very common question ever since the first stages of the alpha, and since honestly a lot of people's first touch into Ready or Not. What is the current state of the PvP being relaunched into the current version of the game?
So we haven't really touched the PvP too much. We've played around with it occasionally for fun. There's a few different modes that we've played with. We actually we have this mode that we've, occasionally some of the guys will jump in it, where it's just literally like a 1v1. Oh, it's not a 1v1, it's like a free-for-all kind of thing. You just spawn in and you just shoot each other. And that kind of gave us the idea that it's very likely PvP will be a lot of fun if we get it right. The biggest trick is making sure that it's an interesting and kind of engaging game mode, something that you can play and not feel like the old PvP we had kind of felt like it had no purpose. It was kind of flat a bit, and it was probably over-designed as well, and it didn't really fit. Like a lot of the levels didn't really fit the style of gameplay that our game was going for. So going forwards, I think with our PvP, I'm not going to like talk about what that could look like, just because it's quite if I say one thing, it might end up being something entirely different. But I can say that we have a few different ways that we're going to implement PvP, and one that will come to Ready or Not at some point, and I'm probably not too far down the track, would be part of the new station that we're working on. So right now we have players who are going in to the kill house, and they're running around shooting at each other, like just kind of kill each other, respawn, run down, do it again. With the new station, which actually I think that may have just been a bit of information that no one knew about. With the new lobby level, there's going to be a larger kill house zone, and there'll be a dedicated area where you can actually just decide to enter into PvP with your friends. And that'll be our first taste, because that's currently what we can do in Ready or Not. That's what we've tried, and it's a lot of fun. It's really cool, having a firefight with someone through a wall, And actually, we haven't tried it, I don't think, with the new Ricochet or with any of the spawning stuff. But even before all that, it was really sweet having a big gunfight, and you're kind of trying to guess where the other dude is through the wall. You can hear him walking and stuff, and you're trying to ping him through that, or breaching a door, throwing a grenade in, and then just kind of trying to find the enemy. It felt really, really cool. So that'll be our first foray into it, almost as a staged thing this time, just kind of staging it out, going, well, how do people just a very basic PvP where they can kind of play around in an environment and whatnot. The station itself, the arena area, the shoot house area, will have a bit more of a there'll be a bit more to it, so expect something, I would say, definitely this year. And then as for a larger PvP, larger scale PvP, which is probably what people are thinking of, we're just still in kind of talking about it, thinking about it. It's not really in the forefront of our minds, honestly. It's mostly everything's serving cooperative and single player right now. But we're getting to that stage where we're like, well, we could probably start branching out into a bit of PvP because it could be a lot of fun, to kind of have something a bit more CQB oriented, unique. As long as we get it right, we want to get it right.
And on that, from a development point of view, we've been making improvements to the builds and the likes. And one of those improvements has been to generate dedicated servers as a proof of concept. So going back to Gruntr's timelines, that's something that we do plan to do from a technical point of view.
Yeah.
I can actually branch off into, I guess, the voice chat part of this, because I know voice chat is obviously super important in PvP. And something that I know that the sound team really wants to explore is actually having the voice processed by Fmod instead of it just being through Unreal Engine like the default stuff. So that means that all the environmental effects that you hear in the game, that's going to be pushed onto the voice. So like your friend's behind a wall, it's going to sound muffled, or they're in like a reverb tunnel and it's going to be reverberating through that tunnel. So just kind of these hand-in-hand improvements that'll help push the PvP immersion along a little bit further.
Sure. Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Alrighty. And then to the second most asked question, at least by some of the people over here, you know who the hell you are. When is the full HRT rework coming?
So we've done a fair bit of it. We still have to scan the pants and the shirt. We're working with a team. I think the last time this question was asked was before the whole the war in Ukraine, I think. But during that time, we were already working on a scan, and then that team that we were working with, we actually have not been able to communicate with them since. So we've tried to, but nothing's come through. So we've had to start that again. We've had to start the clothes again. But Mary G. Gerard has been working really hard on it. He's been working on a lot of the hard service elements. We've got the GP and VG18s already done, which is going to be really cool. And a few other elements as well. Some of the holsters and whatnot. And we've got a really talented artist, a technical artist actually, who has his own scan studio. So he's been going through getting ready and scanning all the gear. And we've just been making sure that it's kind of authentic. It's a lot more lined up with the, what you'd actually expect these guys to wear. And that shouldn't be too far off, honestly. That's literally the first thing we're doing. We're getting this out of the way now. And it actually branches out into a few other things. We're actually very lucky that we're doing it now and in this fashion, because there are a few other things that we are looking into, and hopefully we're going to be executing relatively soon, which will make the HRT uniform a little bit more, I think, exciting to actually have access to. Being able to pick, say, different gloves or different, or being able to mix and match some of the clothing options. Things like that would be really cool. It's not going to be too excessive, but that's something that we would have, if we did it previously, it would have probably been a massive problem for us. But it's coming soon. I know that everyone's waiting very patiently for it. At least I think. It sounds like maybe not, and that's fine too. We've been saying you guys will get that for a long time, and the current one isn't really up to scratch. So yeah.
Well, as it stands, I don't think they're too impatient. They just won't let anybody live anything down. So when you say soon, you better mean soon.
Well, so yeah, soon in 20 years. No, I mean, I get it. It'll be the first character thing that comes out that's not what I mean? As far as police and playable characters go, it'll be the first thing that people get access to. We're not really gonna do other things first. That would be a massive, kick in the face, I think.
All right. And I guess a tangential question that is related to that is, will officer skins always be one and done skins, or will there ever be any opportunity to modify, where you have your patches, where you have your kit, or hell, even swappable patches coming back or being a thing?
So I don't want to the key to the team in this sense. No offense to the king, but I would say that we have some plans for it, which is essentially like, patches will. We're looking at patches coming back as well as a few other things too. So in our kind of exploration into this, we don't want to necessarily go down the route of like crazy, unrealistic looking characters. Nothing too crazy in that sense. Like nothing too outlandish is probably the right word for it. But we want to look into something where you can have that personalization. We can kind of give players a little bit more incentive to maybe get higher scores, get better scores, or even perform certain tasks. So patches will be an element to that. How they work, we don't really know yet. We've talked about it a lot. Obviously the way it works is you talk about it, then you explore, then you execute, and then you reevaluate. Because sometimes you can't actually achieve things, or it's too expensive. All of a sudden you've cut down your frame rate a shitload because you got to add another software.
Yeah, a lot of iteration.
Exactly, there's a lot of iteration, and it happens with everything. Happens with AI, for example. So it's pretty common. But one thing we're looking into now is being able to have different kinds of patches. We may not see the return of like internet URL link patches just because there's a lot of concerns on our end of that.
That'll be a disaster.
It could be quite risky. But we will probably be going along the route of a lot of different patches that players will have access to based on what they've performed in the game. Like things that they might be able to achieve, and then show that off. They're really cool patches. We don't just want to let's say you get an S rank on meth, on like every single meth level. Let's say you kind of aced it. We would just give you a patch that said meth on it. That would be lame. But having like really well designed, nice embroidered looking patches, and then being able to have players get access to that and then choose where on their on left shoulder, right shoulder, or head, like on a helmet, that could be really cool for us, I think, and really exciting if we were to go down that route. And there's a few other things as well in that regard, just tattoos and things like that, other personalization options that we're looking into. And ideally, we're looking into getting that done relatively soon. But it is more of an aesthetic thing. But I think that's a good way of we've talked about this a lot, and a lot of people on the team, they feel. And I know a lot of the community probably feel the same way. It's like you need that hook, kind of like how do you keep people enjoying the game and engaged in the game? Sometimes just finishing a mission nowadays isn't really enough. Sometimes it's good to have other things. The idea to have your guy and showing off maybe some specific gloves you have and tattoo you have with these rolled sleeves, and you have some patches from some very specific tasks you performed could be really cool. So that's what we're looking at. That's our goal. It's So it's not necessarily something we're going we need to just see how that feels first, how it goes, because it could be, could be a lot.
So sort of like a trophy system where if you achieve this feat, you get a patch, you get some gloves, you get something small but something enough to make you stand out to other players. Pretty much, yeah. Look,
I mean, our game is honestly mostly it is a first-person game, so having most of your screen covered with these custom things is cool. The patches being the only thing that you won't see necessarily. But yeah, that would be one thing that we might be looking into, and just seeing how that feels.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Got lots of juicy information for that one question. Some people be quite happy. All right, scrolling down our questions chat. There's another question coming from one of our map modders who's frankly doing badass work. Is there a rough ETA on a full good and proper NDA? Sorry, wow, NDA SDK. That's the word. That's the letter combination I'm looking for.
Luckily, no more NDA. Luckily,
yeah.
I can answer that one. So we've been making a lot of improvements to the game itself around modding support internally. So one thing that we'll be shipping early this year is a safe mode and loading just ready or not packs to get around some of the loading issues and help people with that. And then after that, we'll be looking at building the SDK with help from the community on methods and functionality they'd like to see in this SDK, because one of the challenges we ran into is Unreal pack support doesn't allow you to load overwrite content at runtime, so we really need to extend our mod loading to do it at runtime. So find all maps in the pack file, find all weapons in the pack file, and extend our internal data tables. So hopefully I'll be taking on that this quarter, I guess. So I'll be looking for some support from the community there. But as with a date when we'll have a fully fledged SDK, soon, I guess. Can't say when, but I will be working on it.
Yeah, for us, it's something that we. Oh, go ahead, Zach. You go right.
Yeah,
ahead.
you go ahead. You're good. It's all good.
Oh no! After you, I insist.
I was just gonna say,
go.
we just added kind of simplified sound modding support. So it's pretty bare bones. But with that being said, it lets you place custom sounds and put in custom music. There's a few caveats or caveats. I don't know how to say the word, but
You got it.
Yeah.
I've got a doc that I'm typing up right now, and I'm gonna include it in the unofficial modding guide, and that's a Quantum Nuke project, and he's actually a newer member of our team, and he's awesome dude. You gotta ask that guy more questions because he knows all this stuff just off the top of his head. But yeah, ideally in the future we're gonna have much more in-depth support. So that's like you don't need Fmod right now to mod, but in the future we want to have it so that you can crack open Fmod and have all these crazy parameter changes and just do stuff how you envision it rather than with this kind of restrictive way that we have now.
Yeah, he's watching us right now, by the way. I see him.
Yeah, I was just going to shout out to Quantum Nuke, who was a modder whom we hired as well mid to late last year. Doing a great job.
Ethan's the king. Great work, Ethan.
Okay. So we'll be getting those modders all the tools we need. We've thanks to you guys and both the modders, I've been able to kind of pass off exactly what they're looking for and get bits and pieces to help them do what they need. But having a good and proper SDK will be a massive boon to everyone.
Yeah. So if we can get a few of the key modders who are keen to help and I guess help with the direction of that sort of stuff, by all means, let's do that.
Oh, they're
great.
chomping at the bit. I can tell you that much.
So we've got 239 of them. 238. I must have offended someone.
237. Look, it's gone down.
Must be the accent.
That is a big thing for us. So I just wanted to tack on there. It's like the very robust mod support is going to be really cool. I saw this recently. I think it was a couple of days ago. Someone dropped that Ragdoll's Return or something, which looked really cool. Things like that. Being able to introduce mods like that, I really, really like seeing that kind of stuff. I think there's another mod out there. I think it was Gunfighter mod, which was even just moving around the view. It wasn't just moving around the view model. It was almost a total gameplay overhaul from someone who, they're like, oh, I like it like this. I like this specific kind of gameplay. Those kinds of mods are really cool because you want to be able to have that access, from the community. If someone says, oh, I like reading out, I like how it feels, but I really want to be able to get in more firefights, or even something as simple as I don't really like what the view model is on the screen. Having that kind of depth in customization and modification is really cool. And it brings me back to the old days of like modding where you really could change a lot of things. You could play around with a lot of different variables and get kind of cater your own experience if you really wanted to. And you start seeing these mod packs kind of arise as a result, which is super, super cool. We're making Ready On how we want to see Ready On. If there's really someone out there who's like, yeah, I want to see this, I want to see that, we released the SDK and someone's like, oh, they've still got the animations for sprinting, let's say. And, they've still got all the code, it's just commented out. Boom, I'm going to write that in. I'm going to add this in. Or I don't think we're going to give source code access, I'm not entirely sure. But those kinds of things, I think it's really cool to see. And honestly, that's definitely where, like, the end point for modding, in my opinion, that'd be really cool for where it goes. But even as a baseline, just maps and weapons and even gameplay overhauls are really cool. And AI too, considering how our AI is now written, Ali's made it very easy for people to kind of write new behaviors and write new things.
It's one assets and blueprints that can be extended. Yeah. I just need to find a way to for modders to modify that.
Yeah, like rolling back to something you had said earlier, designing a game that you want to see rather than what you think the community wants to see really is, at least in my opinion, the way to do it. Because that way you create a more robust, more cohesive sort of experience rather than kind of bouncing around all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to have a finger in the wind with the community. It's like how things are going. You release something, they go, it sucks. You go, fuck. All right, that's not a good idea. Then we need to go back to the drawing board. But when it comes to, I mean, look, I've wanted to make this game since I was like 16, and we have this. I mean, we're all very grateful for this opportunity. But I'll speak for myself. I'm very, very, very grateful for this opportunity to even be able to do this. That I don't necessarily want to capitulate and be like, oh, well, we're just going to make what everyone wants to see, because it's impossible. You can't please that many people. It's not feasible. So yeah, you make the game you want to make, but giving people the tools to make what they want to make is it's second to none. If anything,
100%.
that's even better. Some people will be better devs than like from what their goals are. Like if your goal is to make like a zombie mod, let's say, you may be a better creator of that, like you may be a better developer in that sphere than we would be if we tried to do it. Like that is absolutely entirely possible, and that's why modding is so cool, and that's why we hire a lot of modders, because there is that they're so passionate and they're also really, really talented, and you go, well, if you're interested, I'd love to collaborate and work together, because that is just like, it's the icing on the cake. That's like where it's the creative juncture that you want to achieve with your community, I think. And you can't have that without modding. So yeah, no, that's that's the end of my answer to that. But yeah.
But I hear you say crafting and ready or not, Sterling.
Huh? Yeah, absolutely. You're gonna start crafting on shivs. You're gonna go loot cabinets and craft shivs.
No.
Yeah.
Just to
that
kind
was
of
sarcasm,
build
just
on,
by the way.
just to kind of build on top of that as well. Sorry for interrupting, guys. Just to kind of build on what Sterling was saying as well. I think we're in a really interesting sort of position as well as developers, where just as a working example, like some of the past games I've worked on and stuff like that, you don't have this kind of feedback with the people playing your game until it goes out the door, and then by that point it's really too late to kind of do anything. But what an awesome opportunity is to be not only making it but getting real-time feedback as we're doing it. So it's not even a case of of course we're making the game we want to make, but it's great to be learning as well as we're making this game. And I'm sure the community can kind of see this as we're going as well. Like the game's only getting better, and I think a lot of that is to do with the feedback that we're getting almost on a daily basis from the community actively playing it, and we're reading it, we're seeing it, we're adapting to make the best game we can effectively.
Yeah, for sure.
1,000%. And it's like watching playthroughs of people playing the game too, where it's kind of like you're working on something actively, but there's someone playing the last iteration, and like I could speak on the sound side, just like there's like a bug that you missed, and maybe they didn't even notice it, but you just noticed as they're playing it, you catch something, you're like, oh shit, I gotta go in and like fix that up. So like we're thankful because you guys are catching all this stuff, and you're also giving us the feedback ASAP, like this works, this doesn't work. So yeah, I'm kind of echoing what everyone else is saying right now, but I completely agree.
Awesome.
Can I just add one other thing on the modding, by the way, Kaminsky?
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, so I'm just seeing quite a lot of questions coming around Mod.io and Steam Workshop and the likes. So Mod.io is what we're using in the UI right now. We don't have any plans to actively not use anything else. However, before we go and look into that, we want to make sure that Ready or Not supports mods in the way that we've already talked about. So once we get the SDK worked out, then we can go back and revisit the other mod platforms available. But by no means are we saying no to anything or yes to anything.
Yeah, we're not locked into anything either. So
I guess since you brought it up, then the question that came up a lot at the advent of Mod.io is why one over the other, especially if you were planning on doing workshop from the get-go, or at least saying that you're going to be doing workshop from the get-go.
So the Mod.io guys are from Australia. That's probably it, I guess. No, I think the goal with Mod.io initially was so if someone went out of their way and made like a Grand Theft Auto style Ready or Not mod with careers and money generating and whatnot, then with Mod.io they can monetize that mod, and it's a way we can support the community with their mods, especially for people who take a lot of time to do this sort of stuff, and then they can share that money with the assets or the people they've worked with to make that mod successful, which is something you can't necessarily do in other areas. So we were really looking at that. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, if you think about modding from like holistically, it's just loading pack files into the game. We need an easy way to do that. So we've used Mod.io. I think that decision was actually made before I joined. For now.
Yeah. Or is it just really convenient? It's just right in the game, right in the menu. You just press a button and just automatic downloads.
For sure. And the big thing for us, like to piggyback off what Steve said, having the ability for modders to monetize this stuff, it's not like the Skyrim style, like, oh yeah, now you must pay. Like we can basically go, oh well, you can. It's like a Ko-fi. Yeah, if anyone knows what that is, it's like the kind of like you buy some.
Oh, you donate some money.
Yeah, it's like a donation. Like you can do that. You can do it in a lot of other ways. You can actually run campaigns too. To be like, oh well, like we got this competition. Like come run this, come do this, and it's all within the Mod.io kind of like system itself. And that was really exciting to us when we jumped in. And yeah, we talked about Workshop. And again, it's really not off the table. But for us, Workshop has always been something where we're like, well, we need to finish. What really not is, let's say hypothetically, just for you guys, hypothetically we released Steam Workshop instead of Mod.io like now, and then what you've done is like, and that was when we released that, the AI was an entirely different system. I feel like Steam Workshop has a very large reach. Everyone's going, oh sweet, load in, download some mods, let's go, let's get this, let's get that. What we noticed was when we released the new update, actually a lot of mods ended up breaking the AI system, the new one that we had, because it's almost a completely different system. A lot of the randomized values that we have in the AI data table aren't used anymore. For example, a lot of them are now because the AI scores stuff. We can get into that later if there's any questions about the AI. But it's a different system. And I'm not saying this is why we did it, but it is a reason why Steam Workshop would have been introduced later, will be introduced later, is because I feel like there's a very large reach with that, with Steam Workshop, and you could potentially be breaking even more stuff, just that we wouldn't even be aware of. And we really want to make sure that there is a solid SDK at the end of our release. And our plan was always to be like, okay, well, with Workshop, we're going to release that, with a big SDK and make sure it's like finished. So we're not like updating the core gameplay framework. Obviously, releasing Mod.io either way. For us, it's like, well, we're early, we're still working on the game, so let's experiment with some alternative routes. And they've been, it's been very easy to work with them and kind of work with their systems. And we've seen a few other games that have used their systems and have done well. And obviously the community's highlighted a few games that have used the systems and not done well. But that doesn't necessarily, correlation doesn't equal causation always. So who's to say? Sometimes as well, it's the other way around. Sometimes it's not necessarily just because the Mod.io is successful. It's just because the game has got the certain mod framework that it has. So we're just experimenting, guys. It's just kind of what we're doing right now. But it's like Steve said, we're not locked into anything. We want to get the SDK out, and we want to finish and not touch Ready or Not base. We really don't want to touch Ready or Not base first, and then we can kind of look at how everything feels, because that's the big thing for us, right? Is getting it to that final stage and locking that in then, because we're very flexible right now. Everything's kind of, it's super flexible right now.
And I guess this talking about all this technical stuff makes an excellent headway to quite a few questions that we're getting in the question chat, as far as more comprehensive options for server hosting, server browser, more options for server hosts, stuff like that. Are we going to be seeing any more of that either before 1.0 or after 1.0?
Yes. Yes, we are.
We
Which way? Before or after?
Next.
Like I said earlier, with the changes to the builds, we have been working on building a dedicated server and the likes, and getting that into our pipeline. So yes, there will be the ability to host servers yourself. At least right now, that's the plan, unless something goes drastically wrong. I don't have a time frame for it. It was actually a pet project of someone internally in their spare time to go and figure out how to do all this. So we've got some stuff lying around there. We'll see what Sterling says in terms of priorities. Sterling, It's on to you.
Oh no! What, right now? No, I'm not answering that. I'm not being beholden to 241 people. No, that's yeah. Look, I think when it comes to those, like especially dedicated servers or server browsers, it's going to be something that we get in, and I imagine soon-ish. I keep saying soon. I got to stop saying that word.
It's
But
fine.
it'll happen.
Soon can mean anything from next patch to next year.
I
So
know that's the
you can just
problem.
keep
It's
saying
it's so ingenious to be like, oh, we got it soon. But no, it is something that we want to do, and we've been pretty much being like, yeah, we need to get server browser, and we need to get a server browser. And we allow people to host their own servers is critical. Being able to like, especially when it comes to modding, I think as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is something that's on the forefront of our mind, and yeah, something we could probably need to plot out a little bit better, but it is planned.
Yeah, and
One thing
unfortunately. Sorry, go on.
So you go. No, you go, Kaminsky.
Yeah, I was saying, unfortunately, I can kind of see it from your point of view when it's like, okay, do we fix the AI in these situations that are surprisingly common, running face first into a wall, or do we add a server browser? It's like,
Exactly.
Yep.
Depending on who's working on it, because we're not a massive team.
Yeah.
So.
That's exactly what I was going to say. The programming team, like the people who do code behind the scenes, is about 4.5 people, because I don't really count as a full person. We're only a really, really small team. So trying to find what's the most important thing to do is difficult. So if we think about Ready or Not as a game, we went from 0 to 100 overnight last year when it was released. And so yeah, we're still playing catch up in some ways. It's good.
0 to 100, you mean like? What do you mean?
Like when we released overnight to Steam last year, we went. It just went nuts. No one could have anticipated how big it got and how fast.
Yeah, Ron has exploded. It's honestly been kind of absurd.
Definitely.
Yeah. It's Ron was how I put it and how I told people. It's 3 guys in a basement, sitting at number 1 on Steam for a while, right? That's really what we're trying to deal with. We're trying to build this into this large company, or compete with the AAAs with the budget of 3 guys in a basement. But that's where we were when we started. Sorry, I'm sure you don't live in the basement.
No, I still do. Growth is I don't mind it here, Mummy brings me food, it's great. I'm not being sarcastic. No, so there is that element to it, I think, where you do want you kind of like you want to grow really fast. And for anyone here who's like looking at starting a business or is like or has a business that they've been working on, that is the thing. Growth. I want to have 100 employees. I want to have 200 employees. There's a lot that goes into that. The more people you have doesn't necessarily just make it better. You can't just hire you can't hire 10 programmers and it just works. It's not how it works. You have multiple aspects that you have to consider. You have to consider the code debt. You have to consider the cost of actually bringing them up to speed, getting them used to the team. Do they work well with the team? It
literally takes like 1 month at least to just familiarize yourself with the code and all that.
And then you got to make sure you got to vet them, and you got to vet them before you even hire them. You got to meet with them a couple times. Yeah. There's a lot of steps involved and also programs are not cheap. So you need to make sure you pick the right people. And then there is the element of manage, and so that's just the programmers. Then you got to manage that. So you might go, well, we have 10 programmers, they'll just do tasks we give them. No, you got to make sure that their tasks are being tracked, they're being managed effectively. There is the right middle management's the wrong word, but there's the right management that is in charge of that, because you can only manage so many people before you actually kind of overextend. And that's just how it works. We've done really well at, I think, kind of like promoting people into positions where like they've shown excellence, and then they're actually really talented at managing people just by their nature, or they just want to. Some people are good at it, but they just don't want to do it. And we've allowed them to almost become leadership figures, and I think that's something where it goes, okay, great. That's a really good way of kind of bridging the gap. But at some point, all of a sudden, you're no longer hiring programmers. You're hiring, maybe a specific producer role that works with programmers, or you're hiring someone who's in charge of a lead producer, and then a bunch of other ones, and it just kind of starts to balloon out.
Yeah, and you combine that on top of the fact that with early access software, it's not like bringing somebody onto something that's to an established project. There's not a Bible of, okay, here's what everything does. Study this. Okay, now start working on it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, oh, we have a release in, and on top of all that, we have a release in like a week. You know what I mean? Like then all of a sudden it's not 10. We don't have a release in a week, by the way. I'm still waking up from New Year's.
Please say that. Please say that.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the that's the short of it. I think I forgot what the original question was. I ramble a lot. What was the original question?
I was talking about that's the scale thing, right?
We started with the SDK.
Yeah. We're talking about development and what's the most important thing. But when you've got more than 3 people working together, it does get a lot harder from a communication point of view. And it's important to note that we're fully remote and around the globe. For example, Mr. 3D's over in UK. I'm in New Zealand. You know, we're those are the opposite time zones. Yet we still managed to deliver this game, and some of us haven't even met each other.
Yeah,
so
Steve being the mad lad, crawling himself out of bed at 8 in the morning on his side, 1 p.m. my side, and we're squeezing out a release in 15 minutes, getting all of our stuff done.
Before 8 in the morning, and that's why the release times are what they are, because I do the releases in New Zealand and have to coordinate with. Yeah. But it's really cool, but it does bring some interesting challenges around how do we handle the scale. It's not 3 people just talking in a room anymore or on Discord. It's 40 to 50 people.
Yeah. No, it's true. Like I've been in teams of kind of like 20 environment artists in the past, and one thing that I can say is like the way that we're working, it's kind of incredible in a way that like I never thought it would work. But it's one of those things where I would rather, and I mean no pun with this, but I would rather have a SWAT team of a few people that I know that I can give the job to, and we've got the communication there, and they're passionate. I think the passion really is like a massive factor in this. Like everyone who's making Ready or Not wants to make Ready or Not. So like we've had it in the past where we've expanded our team, and we've not necessarily got the people who've got that passion there, and it shows. And we have such a big trust within our company kind of ethics and how we work with each other. Like we trust each other not only to get the job done, but to have those communications and to talk with people and make sure that like that we're always striving for the next best thing rather than just kind of doing what we're being told. So yeah, like I would rather take a smaller SWAT team of people than an army any day. Like our output is incredible compared to like some of the teams that I've worked with in the past. And yeah, it's one of those things where exactly what you're saying, more people does not necessarily mean more content or more quality. It if anything, it becomes just more waste of time as you're trying to corral all of that to get the final product.
Exactly. Yeah. Very well said.
All right, and then we can take a little bit of a break from all the really technical, heartfelt stuff, and ask if you guys actually have anything bracketed for kind of like SWAT 4 style single player scenarios, campaigns, anything that in mind?
I want to share the juice, but I really do. Should I?
Got any more juicy MLO lore for us?
Oh yeah, for sure. In fact, you go through Ridgeline, you probably get a bit of that. But I'm not going to say anything else about that. So look, so the way that we're looking at the campaign, and this question come up, I had a dream about it. The way that we're looking at the way the single player is going to work isn't the typical SWAT 4, like, play this level, then you unlock the night vision, and then you continue to the next level, and you got to mostly because the way that we're going to release Raw in the future is, continuing to expand the Los Sueños world. Like we really want to expand this city, and like think like Payday 2, how you just at the end of that that game. I don't even know this. They might still be making. I don't think they're still making levels for it, but whatever. By the time that was done, their production was done. They had a shitload of levels that you just play. It was awesome. We want to have that, and also plus community maps as well, which is really cool. We want to be able to have that, and then have in a sense, a narrative that allows the player to kind of like experience this in a way that's very engaging. So the way that we're looking at it is we're calling it Los Sueños Commander. and it's a little bit more of an active world that you are kind of managing. And then it's a lot more. It's kind of permadeathy. I'll leave it there just because, again, it's very similar to the customization. These are the two things that we're personalization. These are the two things. Well, actually, there are three things. I won't say a third one. There are two things that we're experimenting with just to see how they feel. This is something that I think would be really exciting if we get it right. It would probably become something that I would hope, that's something that really cements Redinot as an incredibly unique game, far beyond its peers. As cool as some of these other games out there are, and they've got their own, draws. But in this realm, I think it would be something that was really unique. And also, what's the right word for it? Like contextually, it makes sense. The world that Redinot's set in isn't meant to be like a nice place, and it's meant to be quite. Even the fact you're not doing all the missions. Your character isn't doing all the missions. There are other SWAT teams out there putting out other fires, so to speak. And even some of your guys might go and do some of that too. Some of your guys might be, part-time officers. You have a full-time SWAT team, but there might be some part-time officers in there. And maybe while you're playing, things kind of happen to you in the, or to your team in the world. Every week you get a roundup, and maybe. One of your part-time officers was on a patrol, lost his cool, broke some kid's arm, did something like that, and now he's been suspended. You can't use him for the next mission. Things like that. That's where we'd like to explore it, and still tell a story, but it's a story that continues to almost like it continues to grow and tell itself. And then that's where we'd like to go with it. But again, I'm getting very nervous talking about this. If it doesn't work, we may not release it. Just keep that in mind, guys. Just like if it doesn't work. Like we'll probably we'll have another Q&A. I'll be like, we tried it. It sounds cool on paper. It's not cool in gameplay. But Los Sueños Commander would be something where we really, it changes the single player itself. Isn't just like co-op with bots. It's actually its own thing. The station is breathing. It's a different kind of environment, and you have to make decisions in game and before you load up. That really affect the future missions or affect your team. That's kind of where we want to go with it, or where I'd like to go with it.
That sounds cool as hell.
Yeah, I mean, I could go on all day about we have this we've got this document written up. We've got all these plans now that kind of hinge on the SWAT AI and a few other things, a few other gameplay elements. But yeah, it should be really cool. And the whole game to now has been almost created with this in mind. Like it's not just something we've gone, oh, let's add it now. No, this has been something that all the modes, the mission types, that wasn't a thing until this idea was kind of formulated. You've got your hostage rescue, you've got all this other stuff. You've got and these modes are all meant to be kind of hinging on the LS Commander mode, which again may or may not come out the way I'm explaining it, very vaguely explaining it right now. So, yeah, it has been something that we've been talking about and planning for a while, and we'll see how it goes. And I'd be really excited if we can get it right. I think with this team, that's why I'm so confident that we can get it right. Because I think with early teams, it might have been a little bit more difficult. But with this team, I think, we could probably nail this. I think with the skill level everyone's at right now, it could be really exciting if we get it right.
Well, it sounds exciting.
But, yeah, I'm just going to slide in the words Hunt Showdown. And I'm going to leave it there. It's not like a looter shooter thing. It's nothing to do with that. Just one element of that game. But I'm just going to leave it there.
And now for thankfully a very much smaller scale question. Are you guys ever going to bring back the original paintball pepper gun?
The TAC 700, you mean?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
That holds a soft spot in quite a few users' hearts.
Yeah, we know.
No, probably not. Sorry. We have two. We have the TAC 700 and we have the one that was in the PvP, the MLO Peppergun, the classic one. It was just a paintball gun. Look, probably not in the current form, mostly because animation-wise it's a pain in the ass. If we can get that right, it could be cool. But really at that point it's just it's slightly different. There's not really much of an advantage to it. And for us, that's just a lot of work. So I would say maybe not. At least not for now. At least not for now. Sorry, guys.
Well, to be fair, when we get the SDK and users get the ability to add their own guns instead of having to piggyback off of existing guns, you guys wouldn't even have to do it. So
you guys can add 500 different paintball guns if you'd like. You can add the speed ones and all that shit.
Oh god, fucking speedball guns. No.
Yeah. You can do speedball. That'll be sick.
Let's see. Lots of repeat questions, unfortunately. So I got to dig a little bit.
That's all right.
Any plans for additional tactical items? Not like additional types of launchers, but more utility tools, like different sorts of breaching tools, accessibility tools, stuff like that. Like for example, drones, ladders. Anything else you guys can think of that would fit in that?
Drones was an early concept, but I don't think that's coming back, right? Sterling?
No.
Yeah.
Well,
it's one of the first things I implemented. It was really cool, but yeah, I don't think it has a use anywhere in our levels at the moment.
Yeah, the only way that I could see that working is if we did like, and again, I'm not saying we're doing this by any means, but if we did do some kind of like hardcore sort of like single player campaign where it would be like a one-shot sort of like scripted event, like very akin to like a Call of Duty kind of campaign.
Yeah.
I think that's the only way that kind of scenario would work, is if we can just vastly and heavily limit what.
Okay, so just kind of very much curate curate the exact level to make it for a drone.
Exactly, but because our gameplay just basically doesn't support that. Like, I can't imagine that's ever going to be a thing.
No, look, it's probably not going to be a thing, and yeah, we definitely won't do any curated levels like that, but it probably won't be a thing until... It might be something we do in some sort of DLC, I think. It might find its way in. Really, the idea is you got to build your level around these things, like ladders. You got to build your level around ladders. Valley kind of was meant to be built with ladders in mind, and then it kind of shifted a little bit because we realized that they were difficult as hell to get to work.
That's fair.
And we were doing 1,000 things. But yes, there are plans for new tactical items, to answer your question. We have a few different things. They've been animated, they've been modeled, so that's cool. But we haven't really touched on them yet. I think we have so many larger things that we were looking at that, again, with that team, we might just have to wait until a bit later. But yeah, we have. I'm sure you guys have seen the sledgehammer thing. I forgot what it's called. There's a Halligan bar, and we even have a few different types of breaching items. I think we have this. The deck cord, and it's a roll of deck cord that is attached to a piece of tape, and we even have the animations for it where he kind of lines the tape down the hinges of the door. And you blow the hinges off. And the idea initially, back in the day, was pretty cool. You'd kind of make X's or squares or whatever. But now it's just more like something where it's like we have all the assets for it. We haven't really thought past that. And the thing with that design is you can only breach. Like right now, C2 breaches the door and just blows the door up. So there's no real there's no other way to breach a door. If you disintegrate the door, then that's it. But as we go, we might find ourselves getting. And the community probably, this is something where you lean on the community a bit, get a bit bored of just breaching every door the same way. So maybe there's, different types of door that all of a sudden having a certain type of breach would be very useful.
Yeah, that's actually just what I was going to ask. Or hell, since the dead cord is a much smaller explosive, you could have it where you breach with a dead cord and it doesn't, harm anybody behind the door just because, you're not putting a block of plastic explosives.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's a lot of different ways you could do it. And yeah, maybe its yield is smaller. Maybe it can't breach certain steel. You know what I mean? So all of a sudden, that's how you kind of balance that out a bit. And it's planned. We got considerations for all this stuff. I think it should be really cool.
All right. What else? Oh, that's actually a pretty good question. Will there be any specific types of game modes or scenarios in the wider multiplayer space that are specific to certain types of maps? Like, say, Vol Health House having a specific type of rescue mission, or Crack House having its own specific type of breach and clear.
Yeah. The custom game mode for each map. You mean?
No, it sounds like it's for hostage rescue for for Valley would be maybe instead of there being a party, or it would probably still be a party, but you would have, maybe, Amos falls in the basement and there is, maybe there are kids in the basement already and you got to go rescue them instead of it being as various. Potentially?
Instead of randomized. Yeah, so like maps would have static scenarios that you can play in multiplayer instead of the randomized as it is now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's planned. Yeah. Actually, it's planned for hostage rescue specifically.
Ooh, cool.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Planned, I should say, but we need to see. Remains to be seen, but I'm pretty sure that would be a good way to make hostage rescue a little more unique.
Yeah, we have yet to implement it.
Yes, we have yet to implement it.
All right. So that sounds pretty neat. What about how does the selection process go when you guys are picking new guns to add into Ready or Not? You've already stated that you don't want to make it too out there. You want to kind of keep it where you want to give people guns. So you want to give the players access to guns that law enforcement units do use. But at what point is it not either? Is it either too out there or is it not used enough? That you
Navarro Navarro tells us which ones sound the best, and then based on that we pick it.
That's smart.
Yeah, precisely. No, we'll honestly a lot of the guns picked just because they're interesting. And there's a lot that are there that SWAT teams do use. But based off something maybe our advisor would mention, or maybe something we've seen. But really, a lot of guys using AR platforms. So it's not M4 style platforms and things like that. So it's not super various, I think. You have your like one and done kind of solution there. But a lot of now at this point we're like, this is cool. We like this. We really like this specific gun. We want to add this in. It's cool. Like maybe one of us has gone to a range and shot it. Like I've shot a few guns. I took a few guns out to a range and shot those, and they were really unique weapons, newer ones. And I was like, this is pretty cool. Let's work on these. And everyone's like, that seems like a cool gun to add. Let's do that. Or someone will be like, I saw this gun in another game. It's really sweet. Let's add this in. Some guns that we are holding on to for other things, I think. Just because, you don't want to have 1,000 weapons in the base game. It's kind of a lot. So you can get a bit bored of making guns every time. So that's the other thing.
I mean, if we're talking about cool guns, more bullpups win.
Yeah. What's the most popular one that people want right now? Like, is it like the Tavor, or is it like the AUG, the F88?
Specifically, the Tavor X95 and the AUG A3.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I'd like to see an AUG.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
I mean, DC and I believe it's DC and Washington forestry agents actually use AUG A3s. No, is it? Yeah, I believe it's AUGs. I might be
forestry agents.
Believe it or not, yeah.
What are they shooting? What are they shooting?
They're cutting the trees down, actually.
Yeah.
Bullpups are short. They're compact and 16-inch barrel and like a 20 some odd inch like package in case you got to put down something aggressive at long range.
That's fair. That's true. That's very true.
They were the New Zealand Army weapon of choice for a while too. The Steyr AUG, pretty cool.
Yeah. Australia's the F88s as well right now. So, yeah, for sure, that'd be really cool. We'll see. I'll say we'll see for now.
You had mentioned DLC earlier. Do you have any idea what future DLC might take the form of?
Yeah. We have some ideas on what the DLC could look like. We have some plans as well. We're looking at currently how we're going to handle DLC. I think we're like honestly most DLC will usually be like maps. You know what I mean? Like a lot of them will just be like packs of levels and things like that. And then you'll also have. I feel like I'm saying too much, but like you'll have like the idea is almost like categorizing into DLCs and expansions. DLCs are levels. Expansion packs might be new gameplay and feature introductions as well as levels and characters and things like that. And that's kind of those are the two different ways that we want to potentially approach it. And obviously new threats, new AI threats and things like that would probably be across both, I think. We do have plans. I don't want to say what those are just yet, but we do have plans. Some of them will serve, the single player. Some of them will serve. Not that you won't just be able to play them. You'll be able to play them in co-op as well. They'll all have their own place, I think. And we're planning some research trips to help with that. But yeah, it's just something on the side right now that we're thinking about a little bit. Because it's good to kind of get that runway, that projected runway. That's the answer, by the way. Oh, God.
All right. Got a lot of questions here about pre-planning that was mentioned in the public AMA. But is there anything either you want to restate for the record, add to the talk about pre-planning? Because it's been I believe 5 months since the last AMA already. It's been a while.
Yeah. I do. Does anyone else want to answer? I've been talking a lot. Anyone else want to answer this question?
I don't really haven't seen the pre-planning, but I know it's been worked on by our other programmers. I don't know how far that's coming along, but yeah, it's being worked on.
Yeah, no. So yes, pre-planning is coming along really well. We've got this. It's the way that we're doing it is quite a unique way. It's not just like some HUD that pops up on your screen or anything like that. It's accessible in the lobby and in the game. And the way that we're doing it is a little bit more unique. We're calling it the sit rep menu right now. So it's not its own menu, so to speak, but you can pick. In the lobby, you'll be able to see the missions, pick your entry points and whatnot at some stage, as well as draw map plans, kind of get an idea of what the map might look like. And Sam, you might be able to talk a little bit about maybe the maps, how you've been handling some of those maps that we're looking at. Because I think it's a really cool little thing to have. But yeah, no, we actually wanted to release it with the Atom update, but we kind of some things happened outside of the development of the game for some individuals, and they couldn't get it done in time. So that will be something that will happen in the future, and definitely something that's I'm really excited for, because that's a big element to. It's once you play, like a lot of you probably played the maps a lot, so you probably already know where every single room is. You may even know where all the spawns are, which is fucking impressive. But that doesn't necessarily mean that having a map isn't useful. Especially with new players, especially with people who may want to strategize a little bit more before they enter an engagement. And there are even some other aspects of the sit rep menu which I won't talk about yet, but things that we may be looking at which could make some other gameplay elements a lot easier. I'm being super vague, but yeah, there's a few aspects of this menu. We're probably looking at it replacing the tab button. So you press tab, the score comes up, because the sit rep menu will encapsulate your map score. It'll even give you team composition. It won't tell you how much ammo they have or anything like that, but if they're alive or not. And a few other things too, objectives. I may have already said that. And briefing information as well. So there's a few things there that you'll be able to get access to. And ideally, we give this to players in the lobby, and then we give them different things in the game as well, which they can also use.
From an art side as well, that's just really great, because it really sets the tone for the level. It's like a little bit of like flavor before you get into the game, where we can just establish some of the story stuff, set the mood, and just have that a little bit of freedom from an art side to kind of like get the player in a certain frame of mind before they start the level.
Absolutely. And I mean, the other thing that's really cool too is like you have certain levels where maybe you don't have and this is where we can interface with Dan, with our advisor, and he'll be like, oh well, in a situation like this, we're responding kind of very quickly. It's not planned, so you probably try and get access to maybe a fire escape plan or something like that. If it's a hotel or if it's an apartment, it's just something there. And then on the sit rep menu, you pull it up and it's Sam, maybe you want to talk about what that could look like on the sit rep menu.
Yeah, I mean, like I've kind of gotten started on some of the maps right now. I think I've finished Gas's map, and I'm still kind of working on the map for Agency. So, but it's been really fun, like thinking about like the meth maps. I want to do like a typical house floor plan. But it's going to be interesting because like the current meth house has like all these holes in the walls and it's like falling apart. But like the original floor plan is going to be all intact. It's going to be how the house was originally built. So kind of that sort of unpredictability is kind of
Yeah,
what I
that'd be
want
cool.
in like some of the maps. And I guess like the map for club is going to be probably like a fire escape plan that's been like taken off the wall, and it's kind of been marked by like the law enforcement that were there, like where possible like bodies were or something.
Yep, for sure.
That sounds
Maybe
pretty
like
cool.
a cell phone photo from a. Oh, go on.
Yeah, like things like importer are probably going to be a bit more vague. Like it's just a drawing. Like you don't get all the details of the inside of the warehouse. You just see like a big square. It's just what it says warehouse. You don't know what's in it.
Yeah, because exactly, they're not going to have that plotted out necessarily, but you might get some information through the form of like CCTV or other things that they have access to, which is really cool. So there's a few ways we're looking into it and how it could be really, really neat to show this stuff off in a like diegetic way almost. Getting a photo of the fire plan instead of just having it as like a PDF, you can even have a PDF actually, but getting a photo of the file, the fire escape plan instead of like just some like 2D image that you can like go around is pretty cool if we get it right, and a few other things like that. So we'll see how we go.
I mean, if it's you guys, I got faith.
Yeah. What's that saying?
No, I was gonna say, can I like post sort of what I've done so far?
The one you sent me, or
the agency one where it's like the newspaper clipping.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah, of course.
Yep. If you drop it in AMA discussion, I will pin it so people know where to look for it.
Awesome, thank you.
Well, you can actually put in the mini dev update.
Actually, yeah, that'd probably be a smarter idea.
Yeah.
New channel AMA dev updates.
I'll do that. It's really high definition, so I don't want to take just a screenshot. Blurry, I guess. Hello?
Hello?
Yep. You're not posting it? Okay. Oh
No,
man.
I'm trying to get it. Hold on. Sorry.
Yeah, it's taking its time.
We'll keep going, and we can always circle back to it just to like comment on it.
Actually, a question for specifically for Zack that's come up more than once, surprisingly. A couple of people are asking, where did you start with where'd you start with sound design, and do you got any tips for anybody looking to kind of push into either sound design for video games or just sound design in general?
This is a very intense question, but I'll try to cut it down as much as I can. So all I'm going to say is that COVID really destroyed the line between kind of like one day you're like a bedroom sound designer or producer, and then the next day you're like in the AAA space. Beforehand, it was a lot of smaller projects, and it was pretty like I was not really dealing with the sound design aspect. It was more so the music aspect, and that was just there's a short film that was shot in South Korea, and there's a Nuit Blanche project and that's like a little thing that we do in Toronto one night where you get a lot of artists who come down and they showcase their pieces that they've been working on, but nothing really of this scope, and definitely nothing where the collaboration is pretty much constant. So the start was literally one day, you make a track and someone notices it, and then you're chatting with the right people, and it really fell together that fast. And then from there, it was just like, okay, so I've got to really pick up my socks now. I've got to learn about, like, for example, I know I was just so curious about the entire process, and we have like a lot of open-ended access in the Void top secret Discord server where we can kind of see what everyone's working on, and then from there it's like, okay, so they're working on this, I'll start working on this, and It's honestly just it's a learning process the whole way through. Like Mark couldn't have said it any better earlier. So how to get started on that? Well, basically, it's just you've got to be able to kind of develop your own system that works for you, and you've got to tell yourself, okay, like this person might be doing something. Like, how do I emulate it? But at the end of the day, you want to make your own stuff that people kind of want to. they kind of want to emulate off of you, and it's kind of I hate being this vague with the question, but it's really the best way I can voice it is just do your own thing and keep working at it, and also be sure to just kind of like when you're playing games, like if you like a sound effect, for example, if you like a music track, like maybe try to like I feel like I'm going off on a tangent here. Essentially, you just really want to like keep practicing, keep doing the thing that you love doing. You don't have to be a master at everything, but if you really like pinpoint that one thing that you're really good at and just keep kind of working at that, you really can get somewhere as long as you stay focused and you keep yourself on a good timeline with, you know, the kind of stuff that you like doing.
I'm sure you can relate with this as well, Zach. When I kind of say like one of the best kind of advices I can give to kind of go on with that is, yeah, like Zach said, like even when you're just like playing games or you're going for a walk or you're traveling or whatever you're doing, the thing that makes like the difference between sort of like a good artist and a really, really, really good artist is building that sort of like mental library that you can sort of like pull from, and you're not just looking at stuff, but you're observing stuff and you're seeing how it works and you're pulling it apart in your head and you're learning just kind of like from day-to-day stuff. And I imagine you do that as well a lot, Zach, when it comes to like, you know, taking inspiration from everything around you.
I was gonna say, well, Mark is also he's definitely a seasoned vet of the industry, and that's why I'm having trouble. You can hear me kind of stumbling over my words. I'm just trying to like finally voice what's that day-to-day thing that it's like when you're working with sound. But yeah, completely mental library. Like, what does this sound like at this distance? How do I build the music so that it's more tense in this area of the game? And then also the other thing is when I first started with Void, I really did not have a good concept of blueprints, and it's like kind of a very primitive language in UE4 to get things to trigger or just work in a very basic sense. So learning that alongside with kind of building the skills that I need to make the music and the sound just as good as it can be for Ready or Not, that was like a pretty challenging thing to kind of build on. So
there's a few things that come on from that as well, Zach. It goes to all areas of work. It's attitude and aptitude. You just got to get in there, give it a go, and learn and learn and learn. So Sterling and some of the other founders had never made a game. I know because one of the founders is my younger brother. And I remember when he said to me, "I'm going to make a game." I said, "It's actually pretty hard to make a game. That's why I've never made a game." And 7 years later, we have Ready or Not. He taught himself to program. He just learnt what he needed to learn to get the job done. And so attitude, aptitude, and some resilience, and you can learn.
Yeah, 100%. I do visiting lectures around various different universities and things like that. And one of the mantras that I not only live by, but one of the ones that I try and propagate to everyone is fail faster. Like, just the idea of, okay, I don't know how to do something. You can sit and think about it and read upon it and learn about it as much as you want, but until you're actually like hands-on, trying stuff, throwing stuff in the engine, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work, picking it apart, like just getting your hands dirty and learning like what doesn't work faster is how you then learn from your mistakes and just get better. So yeah, failing faster is a wonderful mantra that I really do live by.
I mean, it's a lot better to know what doesn't work than what does, because then you can more easily focus yourself down.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've said this before in the other AMA, but like half of what making games isn't knowing how to make a game. It's how not to make a game.
I agree. I mean, I think probably the best way I can like wrap it up is just by saying the tools that we use in the game right now, those are like you can download Fmod right now and pop it into a Unity or Unreal Engine 4 project, and then from there, like if you've got any questions, feel free to tag me. I'm really open to just answering like Fmod questions or anything. Not with Unity, it's a little bit tougher to kind of like spell it out, just because I haven't used Unity with Fmod as much. But you really like it's the exact same way that I learned. It's just like trial and error, and if this works, okay, awesome, and if it doesn't, it's like, okay, drawing board, let's try this again.
Yeah, it's a very iterative environment.
All right, that should nice and thoroughly answer those questions that we're waiting for you. And I guess here's a good one actually. We'll start from the top with Ollie and work our way down. Is there anything that you're working on that you can talk about that you're excited to either finally launch or finally have the chance to talk about? And then we'll start with Ollie and work our way down the list here.
I think the big one for me is SWAT AI. That's gonna be like a huge mountain to overcome. I don't really have anything like major planned besides that. Yeah, just SWAT AI, just getting that improved basically over what we have right now. Yeah, that's all.
Short and sweet. Sterling, what do you got?
I've literally been like gas bagging about all these plans for the last hour and a half.
Oh yeah, that's fair. So
what I'm looking forward to is having everyone be like, "Why the fuck did you just tell everybody all of our plans?" I'd be like, "I don't know. Sorry, got excited." No, I don't know. I honestly am gonna join Ali in this one. I'm excited for the SWAT AI. I really am. I think that'll be really cool. We've got some super cool plans for the SWAT AI. So, not plans, things that are already being executed. But yeah, I'm really
basically for the next few months, that's the only thing I'll be working on. Like besides some other small things, but
Ali's entire because he's like, I'm so keen. I'm just gonna fucking jump into this. Like, we're trying to work out. Like, it's funny. You like go and play. For example, you go play SWAT 3 because that's like really really cool AI. It's really unique and interesting. And then you're like, how the fuck did they do that? How the hell did they do that? And then with maps too. You play maps and then you just generate all the logic and it was done. Doesn't work everywhere though. That shoot house, the shoot house level, the one you test in, it is awful in the shoot house level. So it's not always perfect. But it's super cool.
Yeah, they get lost sometimes. Like they don't like operate like as well.
I mean, and we're not really trying to make SWAT AI. We're just trying like SWAT 3 AI or SWAT 4 AI. We're trying to do something better than that. So that's the idea. But I'm keen for that too.
All right.
I could probably jump in on this. Yeah.
I know. For us?
So I know one of the things Navarro was actually really interested in getting some realistic weapon reflections, just stuff that bounces off the environment. Now the other thing is like we really wanted to use a more out of the box solution, something like an Oculus plugin or a Resonance Audio or Steam Audio. Unfortunately, we tested all of these. We ran them through the gauntlet, and it's just someone that would break within 10 minutes, or we wouldn't be able to use all the key features, or they were just too expensive. Which means that we do have to develop a custom solution. So it's a little bit more work, and having to steal someone from coding while they already have their plate full it's a balancing act. But I think we'll get it sorted out.
Every plugin we tried, there's always just that one thing that's just wrong with it, and we just can't use. It's really annoying.
It kills us. It really kills us because Steam Audio has some absolutely crazy stuff, and I know there's been someone posted a demo video where you're walking around and you can hear the sound really bending around the corners, and it kills me. It kills me too. But no, so there's working on something like that. I know footsteps has also been a thing as well, where you can hear footsteps through multiple floors of a building. I wish it was an easier solution to kind of figure out, but it's still pretty intense. So we're still working on making sure that you're not going to hear terrorists like 2 floors up on Hospital, for example. And we're also replacing. I know one of the default footstep sounds was kind of janky, so we're getting that swapped out as we speak. But no, it's pretty much just advancing on what we're already doing. So just making sure things are more detailed, really getting that kind of spatial sound locked in. But yeah, it's improving. That's basically what the sound team's at right now.
Awesome.
All right. Mark, you got anything nice and shiny for us?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say too much because obviously spoilers be spoilers. One thing that I will just say as a kind of a blanket statement is that, and I'm incredibly grateful that working on this game, I have so much creative control with what sort of like the levels look like. I really feel like I get to basically just go completely nuts from a creator standpoint. And yeah, like the next couple of maps, sort of that we're working on at the moment, it's definitely pushed my boundaries. Like as an artist, like I'm feeling like I get to be a lot more creatively involved with different sort of like things I would have not necessarily done before, and I'm playing with different avenues of storytelling. So yeah, like the next couple of maps are going to be incredibly story rich. I've also done a little bit more design work on this next map, which is something that I'm not super confident with. Obviously, we have dedicated gameplay designers who primarily do the blockouts, but I've dabbled in that a little bit as well. So I'm always excited about all the new maps coming out because yeah, like every new map for me is a new challenge, and I get to just be completely creatively free with it, which is awesome. Sterling already made a point of mentioning the new station beforehand, so I can kind of go with that. That for us, me especially, it's such a staple of what the game kind of like is from a to put it a different way, it's like it's the lobby. It's where you spend most of the time. It's going to be where there's so much like story-driven aspects of the game. Everyone's going to be in there as you're loading the levels. It's so important to us that we get the lobby right. So I'm really excited to basically give the lobby like a whole new fresh coat of paint. And completely different design, different atmosphere, and tick a lot more of the boxes that we wanted to do in the previous one, and expand it out further into all these other kind of different avenues.
And it's funny that Mark mentions the lobby. The new lobby music that we have now was kind of like a very, I guess, early blueprint of like how the music's going to shift when you move around. So you go to this one area and it's going to go into something else, and then somewhere else, and you get all these different layers coming in. So
for sure, yeah, it's gonna be pretty sweet. The station is the lobby. The new lobby is gonna be pretty exciting because the old one we had was like the one that you guys play now. Even if we gave it a bit of an update with some more detail, which is kind of showing that it's fallen apart. They have to move, right? Honestly, a lot of that stuff. We had this grey box and it's like 3 stories. It's 3 floors, and it's really cool. It was painstakingly made by one of our designers, and you can't really. It doesn't really work for our current gameplay, so we needed to make something smaller and more catered.
All right. So, Sam, you got any shiny art pieces that you've been working on that you want to talk about?
Yeah, like I'm really excited for the new hotel and the new farm sort of revamp, I guess.
Which one? The port revamp?
The farm one, the cult.
Oh yeah, big time.
Ooh.
Yeah. So yeah, like I guess I'm gonna start working on a new piece for the farm, sort of just a general look at the outside of the building. Well, I'm also kind of working on the interior of the hotel, just working along with one of our concept artists, Pixel, who you can see on the right-hand side. He's been really awesome. Like his work is amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just really excited to work on all these new levels.
Good answer.
Alrighty, and then last but most certainly not least, Steve, do you got anything you wanna talk about?
Yeah, just retouching on what I've already discussed around improvements to the modding scene. So I've been making engine modifications to make that better, safe modes and the likes to give a better experience to our players, especially the people who are less accustomed to modding, but I guess diving into mods via the mod.io button. We're finding a few issues with mods not working correctly. So just trying to improve that experience and then also improve the experience for our modders as well. So that will be what I'm taking on.
Very nice. Intro.
One more thing I forgot to mention. The world building animations. I'm excited to get that like working again, because right now it's broken in this the latest update. The idea is to have them spawn in like on game start, and you just see them like automatically doing their world building animations on a loop, and like once they are loaded, they just exit that state and then just go about the normal like suspect behavior. That's another thing I forgot to mention.
Really
and I'm
upsetting
excited
because
to like add that in.
Sorry, I was gonna say really upsetting too because we had the suspect pissing sound arranged and everything, and now it's you guys have to wait to hear it.
It's like we've got light stream, heavy stream, got all of it.
Oh yeah,
Awesome.
piss fully. Let's go.
Let's go. Zack had to drink 8 bottles of water, and then he was just waiting around all day,
Pro
building
tip:
that pressure up.
just get a really sharp
The
knife.
authentic sound.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, somebody just said in discussion RTX piss. I guess that's what we're talking about now.
Yeah, exactly. We're ray tracing piss now.
Hey man, ray traced audio—that's the future. So you never know.
Oh jeez.
All right. Actually, this is a really good one. Something more around the story of Ready or Not. So far, the suspects that we have had have been that can be commonly described as plainly evil.
Yeah.
You've had terrorists, you've had human traffickers, pedophiles, all that stuff. But what about suspects where their motivation seems a lot more gray? See law-abiding citizen or like a vigilante group who, you know, is very much breaking the law, but they're not bad people.
Yeah. No, that's a great question, and honestly, that's a big thing for us right now. Is that everyone's evil, and there's actually a lot of people in the world who are just like, it's almost too much. But you know, we have to do it to serve the gameplay in a sense. But we do have. I'm glad this question got
I
asked.
think
We do have
gas is the only. The gas suspects are not like purely evil.
They're
That's
arguably just.
one.
Well,
Well,
yeah, I
they're-
think they're
they're
just drug.
They're traditionally evil. They're gangers holding up a station that has already shot people.
Yeah, we have plans though for some more grey area kind of stuff. We've got Beachfront, which does have that. It's almost like I think we want to branch into that a bit more. We kind of experimented with that with Valley, not with Amos Vol, but with the Bolton security agents, and the idea that it's so bad in the city and it's so awful everywhere right now. And we'd probably say in the world, like they can't go anywhere. They're kind of trapped in this like decaying kind of city, this like city that's falling apart. It's gotten to that point where, you know, there's just like there's nowhere for them to go, and they need to support their families, and Amos Vol is paying a very high price, and they have something they need to do. They have bills to pay, so to speak, even if it is selling their soul. And that's not something that we're, you know, in this world that people don't do. People absolutely sell their souls to do things, especially for money. Does that make you evil? Maybe not. I don't know. Out of necessity, sometimes things just have to be done, I think. Amos Vol is not that person. I'm talking about, obviously, the agents that work for him, at least the ones that aren't necessarily aware of what happens. You know? So I think that's kind of walking into that territory a bit, but they're still essentially letting this thing happen. You could argue they're evil people. But there are, in the game, there will be characters that are almost having to do this kind of stuff out of necessity. You know, be it because they got sick family members and they can't afford, you know, medical care, or they, you know, they've never seen this kind of money like that some of these people would be making in this world would be things that they've probably never seen before, and it kind of changes their motivations. So there are a lot of things that we'd be looking at doing, I think, in that world, and making it more tangible. Because yeah, a lot of the people are just evil, but again, for the gameplay, it can be quite hard to rationalize people not just giving up immediately when you're faced with like an armed SWAT team, because that's the reality of the situation. But if you play a game like that, play a map like that, and they just give up immediately, and you probably won't play that again. You probably want to play where it's more difficult. So there are a few ways we want to remedy that. be it with a mission type, such as like what's it called, warrant service mission type, or something like that potentially. So maybe that would be the avenue we take, where there's like a super easy mode, so to speak. Things like that would probably be the way to go, I think. But we'll see where it goes.
Okay.
I'm working on a map at the moment. Where, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say that the antagonists are evil, but the moral is very questionable, and I can definitely see the player having some kind of like visceral reaction, being like, do I like? Yeah, they're doing wrong, but I maybe kind of think they're in the right. So yeah, like that'll be a fun one to try and address.
For sure, yeah. I mean, you could even argue Ridgeline. I mean, he did kill 4 police officers, but, was this all because he's, almost having an episode and he is a dangerous person, but he's not necessarily, it's not necessarily his fault. It depends on what avenue you take, Is he a victim of, like, a society that's shunned him, or has he been experimented on by certain groups? What exactly is it that's happened to this guy, and just how fucking nuts is he, and why, So I think that there are already a few gray area levels that we have, but that's just because it's more interesting than just having this guy who's a bad guy and he's just evil. So yeah.
Okay. All right, we're actually having a lot of questions here, kind of skirting around the same rough subject. Will there ever be any changes to say what a 5-man SWAT team can bring out? Like there's say an addition of a taser to your main and side, like transferring it to tactical, or even limiting the amount of limiting the amount of equipment that can be brought out. Like there can only be one shield, or one battering ram, or one breaching shotgun, stuff like that.
Yeah, there are plans. We're gonna move the taser to the tactical slot, so that won't be a pistol anymore. So you will be able to have a pistol and a taser. You won't be able to have a taser and a taser, but you can have a pistol and a taser. So that'll be coming in. As for limiting other things,
I have that plan since like forever. We still haven't got around to it.
The taser thing?
Taser,
yeah, we have. Yeah.
It's over a year or something. I don't know. Yeah.
More than that, I think. We need to move it out. It's useless here. Like, people want to have a pistol so they can defend themselves, and they want to have a taser. It's like, yes, that makes sense.
Yes, thank you very much. I can
Yeah,
say
we
that for
understand.
a lot of the community right now.
Yeah, no, that's definitely something that we're like, oh shit, we need to get around to that. But to the overall idea behind, like, limiting the amount of tools is something that, yeah, no, absolutely, it could be done. We haven't really looked into it too much, but I can definitely see, like, having like everyone with a shield, it could be a bit, OP, I guess, potentially.
Yeah.
And boring. It's cool for about 5 minutes, and then it's just like, oh well, this sucks. But also the freedom of it can also be really cool. It really depends where you want to go with it. So, yeah.
Alrighty. What else? I know it has been mentioned before in a few places, but it doesn't seem like everybody's gotten the memo on it. What is the state of power for maps, like being able to turn them off and have more applicable use of nods?
Mark, you want to answer
that? Yeah, it's unfortunately kind of the way that we've built our game, and it's kind of like a limitation of Unreal 4 more than anything. Like, if we were to set out from the very beginning and implement like these systems as we were making the maps, then it could be kind of one of those things. But it's such that would have had to have been such a core game mechanic from the outright, and then we would have had to build everything around that for it to work. It's not really one of those things that you can slide in. Now, I'm not saying it couldn't be done, but I also don't really see the point in, for instance, introducing it for one level and then not having that option on any of the other levels. It's more like a just a limitation. Maybe run 2, when we all go to Unreal 5 and we can have fully dynamic lights and so forth and so on. Possibly, but I think realistically speaking, probably not.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's some modders have done. Some map makers have made like you can go turn off the breaker. You can switch off the breaker, or or do what we already have in some levels. We shoot at lights, which is really cool. And
oh yeah, no, it's definitely doable. It's also just one of those things where it's like, yeah, if we did it on one level, we realistically should implement it on all the other levels, just for that kind of like visual language just kind of makes sense from a gameplay perspective.
It hasn't really been planned enough, so
yeah, it's not really like a core gameplay mechanic that we've lent into.
No. So we probably won't end up doing anything like that.
All right.
We won't.
Also for AI, they also have to see in the dark. That's just another issue. You have to plan around. Yeah.
Yeah. All of a sudden you go like, well, if you're in the dark, you shoot an AI. Nothing. Yeah. It can be really cool, but we might make something like that. I know because we do have dark and light spots in the game, but it's a lot easier to gauge that when it's all baked. When it's no longer baked, what do you do?
You had actually brought up a point that I was going to. Modders have so that certain maps are able to be launched in day and night mode. Like the map Farm used to be a night map. Are we going to be able to have the option to swap between day or night on certain maps?
Probably not, no. And again, it's one of those limitations where like it is definitely doable, but it kind of means you're then juggling two identical maps. There are systems within Unreal 4 where you can effectively have two baked scenarios, but we've just got too much going on when it comes to like the other levels and everything else going on that I think focusing on just making a really solid one version of the level that is like custom tailored to everything that we want it to be, rather than trying to juggle two versions of it, which is going to cause more problems. Obviously light and shadow is such a core sort of like, not a gameplay mechanic, but it's so important for the player and the AI to be able to see each other all the time. It's hard to then juggle two versions of that and get it working right. So it like Farm started off in day and then it went to night and then it went back to day. That was more like an art decision than anything. Like we were trying to figure out what lighting scenario worked best for the map. And it's not the first, like Farm's not the only one who've done that. Like there's definitely been other levels where from an art perspective we've been let's try this map in rain and see what it looks like, and we've gone, this looks better in rain, so we've just kind of gone with that. Agency was like that as well. Like it wasn't always kind of like rainy and overcast. It started off like very sunset at the very beginning. And the same with Data Center. Like Data Center it started off as like a night map, and then we found bringing that kind of like early morning sun just cropping up over the hills. It gave it more of a unique feel, and that's kind of what I'm trying to capture when I'm making the environments. Is that I want every map to really feel unique, like rather than having this one's in day and the same one's at night, and it just kind of looks like another one of the night maps. Like I really want every map to look and feel unique.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Moving swiftly along. Another sound question. Full soundtrack when?
Full soundtrack when? Well, back in the early
What
days.
about the vinyl?
The vinyl specifically.
Yo, shit, I play vinyl.
Oh man, honestly, it's definitely a lot of considerations to make. I know when I was first doing the soundtrack, a lot of it was literally just rendered out into one track, and then depending on what happened, it would kind of like shift to that section. But of course, you have the issue where like something like the dealer track, for example, it always goes to like one of two different combat themes, and you always like there's a very clear start and end to it. But with the newer tracks, now it's all rendered out into separate layers, so you can get some crazy stuff going on. With that said, it kind of takes a little bit more time to arrange it. So still thinking about how to best get everything into a single track for like a very linear listening experience and get that out to you guys in soundtrack form. But soundtrack when probably closer to release.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, makes sense.
Something we want to do though.
Okay. So it's sort of like what is it? The big hubbub around Doom Eternal's soundtrack and Mick Gordon going, "No, you're not actually assembling it right. Stop it."
It's well, yeah, that's a little bit more complicated because there's some more. Like, I'm not going to get into it now. I don't want to get sued by Beck. Like, he's going to come after
Oh.
me. But
Just make the litigious one. No.
Oh no.
but no, honestly, Void's been they're very like it's very open ended. So I don't feel like there's any limitations when it comes to the soundtrack. And obviously with that open endedness, making decisions that it becomes challenging to kind of like tell myself what's the best way to do this. But at the end of the day, closer to release, and if vinyl does come along, vinyl comes along, that would be really exciting. But yeah,
Ron Vinyl would be sick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Ron
it
Vinyl.
kind of would be.
Ron Vinyl.
Actually, that leads us into another question. On the note of the Ron Vinyl, Ron merch when?
Soon, quite literally soon. Yeah, we're looking at. It's hard. It's hard getting good merch made. We don't want to give you guys shitty stuff. But yes, it's being planned. And it's being researched. It's been researched for a couple months. We've made merch, like small runs of merch for the team. But it's a different thing when it's like constantly accessible merch, or you do like limited print runs. But it depends on how and what we want to do. I mean, like the easiest run shirt is just a black shirt with the logo, but you want it to be like a nice material, like a good, like 100% cotton, or like whatever it is that you're looking for. Let's get some what do you call it, rash guards made for those who want to do jiu-jitsu with their fucking
Let's do it.
ready out rash guards. No, I think we've got a few things that will be dropping relatively soon, which I think would be really cool. And nothing too goofy. You don't want that.
I mean, since
I'm wearing mine right now, by the way, but I can't turn my camera on, unfortunately.
No. Hell, since you've mentioned it, I can talk about it now. We've been discussing in the top end a lot of interesting stuff. Some people have already talked about in discussion chat. A different pattern of mouse pad, maybe some patches. Some cool stuff that would actually be useful in day to day.
Yeah, patches definitely.
Ron mug, let's go.
Yeah, for sure. The Ron mug would be sick.
Ron mug with a Starling's profile picture on it.
No, serious, Sam. I think you might have some trouble talking to
hey,
Crow Team.
I think Crow Team would be in for it if we should post it out enough.
Maybe.
No, Crow Team, come on.
Yeah, maybe not. No, but that'd be cool. I think we've got a lot of things that we could potentially release. It could be a lot of fun. A lot of cool little shirts. Patches are definitely at the top of the list. That'd be really sweet. Just to have like some Velcro patches and shit. Yeah.
Alrighty. We got a lot.
You try and power through. I'm gonna dip in about 15, just so you guys know.
Okay. Actually, 15 minutes is about the end of our allotted time anyway. I think 2 hours is more than enough for questions.
Yep.
We could do like a rapid fire at the end here, just kind of like bang off a bunch of questions.
Yep.
Okay. I guess we'll start that in a couple minutes. Use the exact last 15 minutes as our rapid fire. Any ideas for when campaign mode or scenarios drop? If they end up dropping in a form that would be common use, are there any bad guy missions? Well, sorry, have you guys thought about any bad guy missions?
What are bad guy missions?
Either you
are one guy.
You are MLO. You are a suspect, but you're doing it for reasons.
No, nothing planned.
It's interesting, but I don't think we'll add that.
That's a unique take. That's not planned for the core game. And as for the commander mode, which is what we'll start thinking of it like that. We'll call it commander mode for now. You're going to call it campaign, but it's not linear. Well, kind of. It's we don't have any date set yet. Ideally, we get it done this year, though. That would be the plan for us. But we'll have to see how much it takes, because it's quite complex. You got to get the SWAT AI done. You got to get a bunch of other stuff done. That's the trick for the commander mode. You have to. There's a lot of moving parts for that.
Okay. I guess let's start that rapid fire. Will HRT get unique voice lines?
Oh,
I was gonna say it's. I would definitely say yes. Again, we've got a dedicated voice director now, and he has been absolutely essential in getting. I think we got like over 30 new voices or something for the update, and I don't even know if for Adam anyway, and I don't even know if all of them got to a character. But yes, definitely, I know that we want to do HRT voice lines, and I'll kind of go off into the SWAT AI voices thing too. Because it's a very, I guess, there's a lot of kind of coding and sound and voice collaboration here. I'm not 100% if the new SWAT voices will get pushed with the SWAT AI update, but we definitely want to get some discussions going to make sure that we have a good overview of all the things we're going to need to future-proof voices, and to make sure that when you have a command and you give a command, it's not going to be like a legacy voice that plays, or like Chemlight out, for example.
Chemlight out. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that's probably where I'll leave that answer at.
Alrighty.
Good answer. Yeah.
Moving on quickly. More Steam achievements when?
When the game is in full release and we get out of early access, which is ideally, in a good time frame.
Yeah, we need to finish the game first.
Yeah, but we will do that. We'll have a lot. I think we'll have a lot, because there's a lot
Yeah.
of cool little things. We want to do some goofy ones too, that are like, this is like secret achievements are always cool. So yeah, definitely got a few that we got planned. Yeah, exactly.
All right. Any plans for randomized layouts?
You mean procedural generation of a level?
No, not procedural generation. More like kind of like how it is when you select certain modes, and certain sections of the map are either open or closed. But like when you select the same mode, like a certain door is now like completely inaccessible, and you got to go a different way, or
Yeah, so probably not to that degree, because there is. Well, it depends. Like we could
kind of have it with like just randomly doors are opened or some are locked.
Yeah, but like if you think like the
stuff, but like actual like blocking off an area, no. That's
if you think like the 0 hour like generated stuff that they do, which is really cool. We may not again, because our level has backlighting. It can be a bit weird to have that kind of like floating object in the middle of the scene, and we generate our levels, so you'd have to. I would end up walking into barricades and stuff. But there are some plans for. I saw a question about this before. It was about barricades. We're just talking a bit about it now, and how maybe barricades could work, and then how you circumvent barricades and how you plan for them. And that would kind of be our way of adding a bit more. It's not just a locked door at that point. It's a door you cannot get through without a specific thing. So, or you have to go around it, or an AI does it. Like it's initially open, doors closed, all of a sudden there's a fucking bed in front of it. That kind of stuff would be really cool, and it could be something that we look into. So yes, that's probably about as far as we go with like randomized stuff. Yeah, at least for now. I can't imagine it being very like conducive for us to like rewrite the way that we generate AI to do it live. You'd end up with a lot of issues.
All right. Any plans for maps that require multiple squads?
You mean like more than
Probably
5?
not.
Ooh.
Like
More than 5 people?
Yeah, more than 5 people.
Because it gets into like performance as well. Like, just you can't have too many characters in a level.
Yeah. I think
probably not, but who knows? We can try that.
Who knows? I think who knows is the answer to that one for now.
Yeah, that's very fair.
There's some internal debate about the amount. It's purely because of performance though right now. So yeah.
All right. There was a good one. Oh, any more plans for very small maps, like more ridgeline, or maybe a little bigger?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Mark. You want to go ahead?
No. By all means.
No, that's it. You go.
Yeah, I mean it's cool. Yeah, like we definitely play with different scales, different layouts, different amounts of floors per level. Like there's one thing that I would say that we like doing is range. So yeah, expect a few smaller maps, expect a few more mid-sized levels of different shapes and sizes. And yeah.
Yep, for sure. A lot more CQB oriented stuff too. I mean, there's a lot of the game is CQB already, but you know what I mean. Strictly.
Oh, this one I've seen to ask a surprising amount. Any plans for voice recognition for a single player in for AI commands?
This would be. So at one stage we did have an early iteration of it. I didn't get to see it when it was in, or I don't even know if it was at a phase where it was too usable. But it's on the road. It's on the like internal roadmap. I wouldn't say it's a priority, but I would say it would be pretty interesting to add. I know there's a mod floating around out there that uses a third-party tool, but again, never say never. It's a little vague, but it'd be cool to get it added in. So
Translation's going to be fun for that.
yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say like it's gonna be definitely gonna be like a collaborative coding and sound task. So it's gonna be intense.
All right. So despite the size of a lot of the maps as it stands, and how besides farm and I believe farm and dealership, will there be a option for the magnified scopes on, say, the SA58 to actually be able to be magnified instead of just looking through it at a 1x?
Sorry. Well, could you just repeat that again?
Oh, sorry. Basically, will you ever be able to up the magnification on the LPVO optics?
Like variables.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, you should be able to. Otherwise, what's the point? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the idea of the LPVO was to be able to make a variable, and kind of like allow the player to zoom with it. But honestly, that might be a while till we get to that. That might be one of like the last things we do, which means we probably shouldn't have added the LPVO, but like now. But yes, it'll be. Yeah, it's kind of cool to have. It's something that we definitely have planned and something we'd like to do in a reasonable amount of time. But yeah, we got other things to do first, I think. Yeah.
All right. Ooh, a smaller feature. Any idea? Any talk about a shoulder tap mechanic?
Look,
we did actually have a.
Go ahead.
I think Mark.
Yeah,
he
so like a while
concepted
back,
like a little thing with the shoulder tap.
Yeah, it was super early
yet,
days. Yeah, it was just like super early days. Like we were just like talking about it. I think it literally came from like us talking in the pub at Gamescom. We were just like, yeah, this would be really cool. And yeah, like I did a very, very quick like knock up of what it could potentially look like, because that's the biggest hurdle, is communicating that to the player in a first person perspective. And yeah, like we've got some ideas. It's obviously not implemented or anything like that, but it was definitely toyed with.
Yeah, the thing with shoulder tap is that it's a non-verbal communication strategy that you use in like areas where you don't want to alert people. But it's a video game, and we have this crazy thing called Discord, or just any kind of chatting method where that isn't required. So you end up with this like feature with a key that you need to assign to something that all of a sudden, unless it was part of a greater scheme of like walk up to player, hold down use key, you can swap mags with them or whatever, or check their if we were going to go down like a more in-depth like medical route, check things like that. Maybe, but shoulder tap is something we've talked about, experimented with. It may not see its way in purely because of the fact that there is this like it's very niche. But then again, so is like the idea of weapon lowering, and then also like being able to move quickly. Like the idea of like just weapon lowering being in the game. It's quite niche. So it's not necessarily something that we wouldn't do, but there is very little use for it, I think, a lot of the time. So it really depends. But it's a good question, because it'd be really cool, especially if it was like really diegetic. Like you feel like you hear the whole like that. Maybe the side of your screen kind of moves a little bit. You get the shake. I think it'd be sweet. It'd be kind of cool to see that in gameplay. So it might be something we add as like an unbound feature, or maybe it's part of a greater like drop. It might be. I see something like that as, if we do it, a post-release drop. Because I do think it would be really cool. There's a lot of little things that would be awesome, like hand signals would be really cool as well. Again, you could be like, oh, we have Discord, you don't need hand signals. It's like, well, what if someone wants to make like a little machinima, or what if someone wants to like record some cool gameplay, or what if someone just wants to do a non-verbal run, which people have done? Shoulder tapping is pretty important for that. I know, like, Control Pairs has done that. 68's done that. You know, a lot of people have done these runs. Karma's done that. Like these runs where it's like a non-verbal, and they're really cool to see. Would be accentuated by like a shoulder tap. And yeah, that would be really pretty sweet, I reckon.
All right. Any possibility of compliant civilian commands? For example, asking them to come towards you if they have already gotten on the ground and are compliant.
Yep,
that's planned. Yeah,
that's planned.
Probably bundled in with the SWAT AI update when that comes. Yeah.
All right, and here we are in the last 5 minutes. Is there anything that either hasn't been asked or that you guys would like to, have known or just want to mention before we sign off for the day?
Yeah, everyone else go ahead before I guess back.
I did see a few questions. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry,
Zach,
no, Shady, you go.
go.
I was going to say you go. So seriously,
Sorry.
you go.
You are my favourite, Zack, but I did see a few questions about Unreal 5. We don't have any immediate plans to upgrade to Unreal 5 at the moment, so we'll be sticking with 4.27 for the foreseeable future.
I was just going to say, again, thank you to everyone who stuck around for this Q&A. Because again, without you guys, we wouldn't be doing much right now. So the fact that you've really stuck around and you've given all the feedback and you've been playing the game and really enjoying it, that really means a lot to all of us. Big time.
Sure. I think one of the things that I'm excited for us adding actually would probably be the more world building content. So you guys go around the station, you'll see a lot of like these little voice recordings. They're on like they're on tapes, they're on other things. In Agency, you can actually go and turn off that radio and stop the music playing. These are our forays into more content that will be rolled into the station, but also, as in like collect almost. I won't say anything else. Things that will be rolled into the station, but also things that help expand the world building. Valley was our first real growth into that. You had the notes everywhere, but we really couldn't have notes on every single level like that. It doesn't make sense. So Ridgeline we introduced, and there's 8. I think 8, right, Zack? Or is it 7?
Ridgeline had 7, I think.
7. So there were 7 voice recordings on Ridgeline with Gerard talking about things, and they actually point towards the greater story that we've written for him. The actual content in this world. We try and fit it all into the level itself. And then you go around, look at magazines, look at other things, you might get some more information, look at some graffiti, you might get even some more. You might even be able to figure out a fair chunk of potentially some MLO storyline just by being a little bit more attentive towards Ridgeline and some other levels and some newspapers and magazines. But the way that we're trying to build our world building is just to create that web, It's less like a linear thread and it's more like this big kind of like circle that you can kind of then go, oh, this is the whole world, I get it now. It's like lore diving, really getting into that lore. And Mark's been instrumental in that, Zach's been instrumental in that, so is Dan, our VO director. So
yeah, that's one thing that I really, really love doing as well, is like one of the more fun things about playing the games obviously is not just the core gameplay mechanics of raiding houses and stuff like that, but it's that investigation of the scenes, and not everything that's happening in the world is spelled out to you. Like, it's up to the player to look and find and explore and piece it all together themselves. So we're definitely leaning into a lot more of that storytelling within the environments, within the audio, with basically whatever we can do to make it feel like Lost Wayne is a real lived in place, and to take it just past the levels and really take it into the broader sense of the city itself.
For sure, yeah, and it's critical for us to do that. And we got some more, like a lot of the new levels are released need more world building content, and that's the plan for us, is to kind of roll that out in a future update, and keep it going like that. Ideally, our updates are a little bit tighter together as well, but with like not as much content, so we'll kind of keep people paying attention instead of like 2 6-month apart updates. So there's a few things that we're doing there, which is, it's going to be cool. I think it's going to be really exciting to have all this kind of stuff. Anyone else have anything to add to that?
I was just going to say, going off of Sterling's comment, I know some of the sound too. We're still fleshing it out for some of the levels, like in Porter and the hospital. So that's also being kind of just basically just layering stuff up, making it more immersive when you walk into the level. So we are still adding sound to existing levels as well.
For sure, yeah. I'll touch on two more things and then I'll be done, which is just a video that someone posted a while ago, which was a really cool one. I think it was on the Reddit. It probably was around here as well. There was some suggestions to improve AI. You know, some of the stuff like, they should, like, civilians stay behind cover, suspects should stay behind cover. Things like that we will continue to look at and work on. Sometimes we've tried, obviously, a lot of these things we have actually tried, and then we've gone, well, that won't work for now because maybe it takes too long for them to exit cover. And you can just walk up to them and pop them in the head. And then it necessitates, a new system to help them aim at you while you're getting closer or start shooting at you beforehand that we don't have the time to implement. There are a few things that we will be looking at. The world building that Ali mentioned is a big one, just to make people seem more alive. But a lot of the stuff you won't see. You don't, like, the combat stuff is pretty critical. And a lot of it you wouldn't see otherwise. So we'll keep working on this kind of stuff. And hopefully you guys enjoy it. And when modding, when the SDK is finished, and after we've interfaced with a lot of modders, it'll be really cool to see what people do with the systems that have been written, because it's just so robust, and it can allow for a lot of things. And again, it's the whole thing of the community sometimes will do things better than you can because they've got their sole focus, their sole purpose is to just like, I want to make this AI like this specific guy in this specific level, just like incredibly unpredictable. But you do this one chain of events and then you can, get him to surrender. Like shit like that is totally doable with the system and really, really cool to see. So yeah, there's a lot of really sweet stuff that we've got planned. And hopefully we get around to it. The idea is to make this is like meant to be the ultimate shooter, the ultimate tactical shooter, and really, really drive that home for players, I think. And there are a lot of great tactical shooters out there. There are a lot coming up, which are really cool too. I'm excited for a lot of them. So yeah.
I see a question about sniper teams. Are we gonna implement that stuff? It's similar to SWAT 4, where you just like control a sniper and
we may
take control of them.
We may, but we also may not. It may be something that happens. Similar to ladders and drones might be something that we add in an expansion pack or a DLC.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, every time you drop an expansion, it's more tools for modding as well, which is cool. So that could also be an experiment for us. Yeah.
Alrighty. So we're at the end of our 2 hours. It's been a lot of information, a lot of cool bits shared, and a lot of nice interaction with the community and all the chats. But Ollie, Sterling, Zach, Sam, Steve, and Mark, thank you very much for your time.
No, I gotta send the thanks right back to you and right back to the community because you guys keep the dream alive every day.
Yeah, thanks everyone. It's a genuine pleasure being a part of this. It really is.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
All right. And
Yeah,
for
thanks
those waiting for it, there will be a VOD uploaded within the hour, as long as nothing goes horribly wrong. So yeah, we'll have that up for you guys, and I will make an announcement in NDA when we are good to go.
Awesome. Okay.
I'll stick around the chat as well. If you guys have any questions, I'll probably stick around for another half an hour or so, just kind of answer where I can. So feel free to ask away and tag me, and whatever, it's up to you.
Yeah, same. I'll stick around as well.
Awesome.
Are you sure, Zach? It's 12:05 p.m. on a Sunday. You're not coming for a beer?
Surely,
Hey?
surely.
Yeah, it's dinner time here. I got to eat and answer at the same time.
Gotta eat his moose.
I'm going down for a beer at the
10
pub
a.m.
if anyone
here,
wants to come.
Yeah, I'll see you there.
I'm flying over right now.
No, yeah, honestly though, Kaminsky, thanks for setting this all up, and the mod team for helping organize everything and moderating this discussion, of course, and everyone here. Thanks, guys, for jumping in and listening. 166 people still saying to hear me ramble is awesome. So and the rest of this team here, everyone's like really, they like engaging with you guys a lot. It's really cool. It's really cool. Have a team that enjoys engaging with the community as much as this team does. It can be quite scary sometimes, because it's hard to. It's quite a gap to bridge between the community and the team, because you can't necessarily see every single angle of development. This isn't like open development where everyone can come in and chip in. That's not how it works. You can't have 10,000 chefs, so to speak. So it's really cool to have these little chats with you guys and get a bit of voice time. So thanks everyone, thanks for jumping in, and I hope some of the stuff we talked about has made you really excited for what we have in store, and give you some confidence that we're not just sitting around going, fuck it, we've done it, the game's done, we're good, we're ready, we're done, let's get the fuck out of here, let's just chill on an island. Like, that's not the plan. The plan is to keep working on Ready or Not. The plan is to enjoy the relaxed production of like being not tied to anyone, not having to be anyone's like answering to anybody. You're kind of in charge of your own destiny at this point, and it's really cool to be able to have that kind of ability. So yeah, and I think everyone here feels the same way when it comes to even their own roles. You really are free at Void, so that's kind of cool, I think, for us.
100%, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right,
awesome. Zach, I'll send you that cash for saying that, for agreeing with me. Thank you. No. Thanks, guys.
All right. And with that, good night, everybody.
Yeah, good morning to my Australian fellows.
Oh, folks.
It's 10 a.m. here. Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning.
All right. Good night from the UK. See ya.
Good night.